In the heart of medieval China, as dynasties rose and fell, a profound intellectual revolution was quietly taking shape. It would reshape not just Chinese thought, but the entire cultural landscape of East Asia for centuries to come. This is the story of Neo-Confucianism, the revival and transformation of ancient wisdom for a new age. To understand Neo-Confucianism, we must first journey back to the 6th century BCE, to a time when China was fragmented by war and social upheaval. In this chaos, a man named Kang Qiu, known to the world as Confucius, proposed a radical idea that society could be harmonized through moral cultivation and proper relationships. Confucius wasn't just a philosopher, he was a social reformer. His teachings emphasized ren, or benevolence, li, or ritual propriety, and the importance of education in creating virtuous leaders. But by the Tang dynasty, these ideas had become somewhat fossilized, reduced to mere ceremony and bureaucratic practice. As Confucian thought stagnated, Buddhism and Taoism flourished. Buddhism, with its sophisticated metaphysics and promise of transcendence, attracted China's intellectual elite. Taoism offered mystical insights into the nature of reality. Traditional Confucianism, focused on social ethics and governance, seemed to lack the philosophical depth to compete. The Song dynasty, beginning in 960 CE, marked a golden age of Chinese civilization. Economic prosperity, technological innovation, and the invention of printing created an environment ripe for intellectual revival. It was during this period that Confucian scholars began to ask a crucial question: how could their ancient tradition address the deep philosophical questions that Buddhism and Taoism had made central to Chinese thought? The Song dynasty scholars faced a dilemma. They respected their Confucian heritage, but they recognized that it needed to evolve. They saw how Buddhism offered answers to questions about the nature of reality, the cosmos, and human consciousness. The challenge was to develop a Confucian response that was equally sophisticated but remained true to Confucian values. The first great architect of Neo-Confucianism was Zhu Xi, an 11th century scholar who dared to venture into cosmological speculation. His diagram of the supreme ultimate proposed that all existence emerged from a single, ultimate principle, a concept that would become central to Neo-Confucian thought. Zhu's diagram showed how from the supreme ultimate, or Taiji, emerged yin and yang, then the 5 elements, and finally the myriad things of the world. This wasn't just abstract philosophy, it was an attempt to provide Confucianism with a comprehensive worldview that could rival Buddhism's sophisticated cosmology. Zhu's work was developed further by the Qing brothers, Cheng Hao and Cheng Yi, who established many of the key concepts that would define Neo-Confucianism. They introduced the crucial distinction between li, or principle, and qi, or material force. The Cheng brothers' innovation was profound. Li represents the underlying rational principle or pattern that governs all things, it's universal, eternal, and good. Qi is the material energy that actualizes these principles in the physical world. Everything in existence is a combination of li and qi. This gave Neo-Confucians a way to explain both the unity and diversity of the cosmos. But it was Zhu Xi, born in 1130, who would become the towering figure of Neo-Confucianism. Living during the Southern Song dynasty, Zhu Xi synthesized the work of his predecessors into a comprehensive philosophical system that would dominate East Asian thought for centuries. Zhu Xi's genius lay in his ability to address the deepest questions of existence while maintaining Confucian focus on moral cultivation and social harmony. He developed what became known as the School of Principle, a systematic philosophy that explained everything from cosmic origins to individual ethics. Zhu Xi's system was remarkably comprehensive. He taught that every individual thing contains both the universal principle, li, and its particular manifestation through qi. Human beings are special because they can cultivate their minds to better understand these principles. This understanding leads to moral behavior and social harmony. Central to Zhu Xi's approach was education and self-cultivation. He believed that through careful study of classical texts, meditation, and moral practice, individuals could achieve a state of understanding that he called the investigation of things. This wasn't merely intellectual knowledge, it was a transformative process that aligned the individual with the cosmic order. Not all Neo-Confucians agreed with Zhu Xi's approach. Lu Jiuyuan, a contemporary of Zhu Xi, founded what became known as the School of Mind. Where Zhu Xi emphasized the careful study of external principles, Lu argued that moral knowledge was innate and could be accessed through introspection. This debate would reach its culmination in the Ming dynasty with Wang Yangming, who developed Lu's ideas into a full philosophical alternative to Zhu Xi's system. Wang taught that knowledge and action are one, and that moral understanding came not from external study, but from internal cultivation of the mind. Wang Yangming's philosophy was revolutionary. He argued that the mind itself was principle, that moral knowledge was innate, and that the key was to remove the obstacles that prevented us from accessing this knowledge. This led to a more intuitive, immediate approach to moral cultivation that contrasted sharply with Zhu Xi's systematic methodology. The debate between these two schools, the school of principle and the school of mind, would animate Chinese intellectual life for centuries. It represented fundamentally different approaches to knowledge, morality, and self-cultivation, yet both remained firmly within the Neo-Confucian tradition. Neo-Confucianism's influence extended far beyond China's borders. In Korea, Yi Wang and Yi Ai adapted and developed Neo-Confucian thought, creating distinctly Korean interpretations that would shape Korean culture for centuries. Korean Neo-Confucians engaged in sophisticated debates about the nature of principle and material force, often developing ideas that were more systematic and detailed than their Chinese counterparts. The Korean understanding of the relationship between emotion and moral cultivation became particularly influential. In Japan, Neo-Confucianism arrived in the medieval period and was adapted to Japanese cultural values. Scholars like Hayashi Razan and later Yamaga Soko integrated Neo-Confucian ideas with Japanese traditions, creating hybrid philosophies that supported both the warrior class and the emerging merchant culture. Japanese Neo-Confucianism was unique in how it balanced the Chinese emphasis on scholarly cultivation with Japanese warrior values. The concept of Bushido, or the way of the warrior, incorporated Neo-Confucian ideas about moral cultivation and social harmony while maintaining distinctly Japanese characteristics. The 19th century brought unprecedented challenges to Neo-Confucianism. The arrival of Western powers, modern science, and new political ideas forced East Asian societies to reconsider their foundational assumptions. Could ancient wisdom survive in a modern world? Some reformers rejected Neo-Confucianism entirely as feudal and backward. Others, like Kang Youwei and Tan Sitong, attempted to reform and modernize Confucian thought. They argued that true Confucian principles were actually compatible with democracy, science, and social progress. The modern period forced Neo-Confucians to grapple with fundamental questions. Could their emphasis on hierarchy and social harmony coexist with democratic ideals? Could their organic worldview accommodate scientific materialism? These debates continue today. Today, Neo-Confucianism is experiencing a remarkable renaissance. Scholars around the world are discovering in it resources for addressing contemporary challenges, from environmental crisis to questions of meaning and community in modern society. Neo-Confucian ideas about the fundamental interconnectedness of all things resonate with contemporary ecological thinking. Its emphasis on moral cultivation and social responsibility speaks to those seeking alternatives to purely individualistic worldviews. What's remarkable about Neo-Confucianism is how it managed to be both deeply rooted in traditional Chinese culture and genuinely universal in its appeal. Its core insights about the importance of moral cultivation, the interconnectedness of all things, and the possibility of human flourishing through education and self-development speak to people across cultures. In contemporary East Asia, Neo-Confucian values continue to shape social attitudes, educational practices, and business culture. The emphasis on family, respect for education, and collective responsibility remains strong, even as these societies have modernized rapidly. At its heart, Neo-Confucianism offers a vision of human flourishing based on several key insights. First, that reality is fundamentally interconnected, that the same principles that govern the cosmos also govern human society and individual behavior. Second, that human beings have the capacity for moral growth, and that this growth is both an individual and collective responsibility. Education, self-reflection, and engagement with others are not just personal benefits but contributions to the cosmic order. Third, that meaning comes not from transcending the world, but from fully engaging with it through family relationships, social responsibilities, and cultural participation. This world-affirming spirituality offers an alternative to purely otherworldly religious traditions. What makes Neo-Confucianism enduringly relevant is its integration of the cosmic and the practical, the philosophical and the ethical. It offers a way of thinking about human life that is both deeply spiritual and thoroughly engaged with the world. Today, Neo-Confucianism is not merely a historical curiosity, but a living tradition that continues to evolve. Contemporary scholars are finding new ways to interpret its core insights for modern challenges. Its emphasis on the cultivation of virtue resonates with those seeking alternatives to purely materialistic values. Its vision of harmonious relationships offers resources for addressing social fragmentation. Its organic worldview provides perspectives on environmental sustainability. The genius of Neo-Confucianism lies in its ability to hold together what modern thought often separates: the individual and the community, the spiritual and the practical, the local and the universal. In our interconnected but fragmented world, this holistic vision has much to offer. From its origins in Song dynasty China to its contemporary global influence, Neo-Confucianism represents one of humanity's most sustained attempts to create a comprehensive philosophy of life. It demonstrates how ancient wisdom can be renewed and revitalized for new circumstances while maintaining its essential insights. Its core message that human flourishing comes through moral cultivation, education, and harmonious relationships remains as relevant today as it was nearly 1,000 years ago. In a world facing unprecedented challenges, Neo-Confucianism offers both the wisdom of the past and hope for the future. For Neo-Confucians understood something that our modern world is only beginning to rediscover: that we are not isolated individuals, but part of a vast web of relationships that connects us to each other, to nature, and to the cosmos itself. In cultivating ourselves, we cultivate the world. In understanding principle, we participate in the ongoing creation of harmony. This is the enduring legacy of Neo-Confucianism, not just a philosophy, but a way of being in the world that honors both our individual dignity and our collective responsibility. In understanding this ancient wisdom, we might just find the keys to navigating our modern challenges.
Thanks for watching.